Democrats' plan that at this point creates two from the banking system. Joining us now, House Republican Conference Chair Congressman Mike Pence of Indiana. How do you react to the speech today, Congressman?
Hey, Dylan. What was not in the speech was probably more newsworthy and noteworthy and disappointing than what was in the president's speech. I didn't get to hear all of it, as you might understand, but the fact that the president really didn't address the issue of too big to fail, which is really at the core here, whether we're going to make permanent the bailout policies of the TARP, or we're going to create this implicit guarantee of certain organizations that are too big to fail. And also, I just have to tell you, the fact the president's not spoken at all about GSE reform, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are at the very core of the housing financial crisis recently, I think it's very disappointing. But beyond that, there is some word on Capitol Hill, some movement on Capitol Hill, and I hope that the rumblings that we're hearing, that there may be a willingness not only to abandon the bailout fund, the $50 billion fund, but even consider abandoning some of the bailout authority in the bill. It might allow a way forward where we could provide some consumer protection on derivatives and other things, some new regulation, and move forward in the best interest of the country.
You have to give compliments to Blanche Lincoln and Grassley and the rest of the folks in the Senate Ag Committee for the transparency in the derivatives market, though.
Well, look, no one on Capitol Hill, or frankly any observers around the country, doubts that some of these new boutique instruments that turned into toxic assets need to be regulated as ordinary securities, and so some of these new rules and regulations about derivatives are welcome. But at the very core of this, and again, the president, didn't get into this whole question of too big to fail, at least as I was informed today. The idea of offering an implicit guarantee to certain financial organizations, I think would be very damaging to regional and community banks around Indiana, around the Midwest, and around the country at the preference of large institutional investors on Wall Street. And it's just the bailout approach is something the American people have really rejected, and a permanent bailout just cannot be a part of this bill.
So it's been said that when it comes to too big to fail, and when it comes to the type of conflict of interest we see with the ratings agencies and the banks, this is not a left-right issue. This is a smart versus stupid issue. Do you believe that the coalition between Republicans and Democrats can be formed to solve this smartly, so that we restore fairness, restore lending, restore investing, and stop giving special privileges to certain institutions who have special relationships with our government?
Well, I don't know. I might leave that more to the pundits, especially one with the background in financial services that you have. There's some talk the White House is willing to do without the bailout fund, the $50 billion fund, but I still don't yet hear anybody talking about giving away the bailout authority that is in this bill. It was Congressman Brad Sherman who said, quote, "The Dodd bill has unlimited executive bailout authority. That's something Wall Street desperately wants, but doesn't dare ask for," close quote. We need to make sure that we're not expanding the ability of the administration, expanding the ability of Treasury, FDIC, to do bailouts, to have an unlimited access to taxpayer money, so I don't yet hear people talking about that. If removing the authority as well as the bailout fund was on the table, we can probably get to the beginning of a reform bill that would really serve the best interests of the country, and I think, Dylan, could be bipartisan.
How do you feel about the proposed amendment from Senators Brown and Kaufman to break up the big banks?
Not familiar with the amendment. Certainly willing to look at it. I'd rather see us create an environment where you let the market decide. If we're back in the category here of essentially the coercive hand of government trying to rearrange the marketplace. Look, we ought to get back to the simple notion that is true on Main Street in America. It ought to be true on Wall Street in America, and that is the freedom to succeed has to include the freedom to fail. I think you create accountability, you bring about some reforms in these ratings organizations so that consumers and investors have credible information. You throw in GSE reform, you reject too big to fail. I think the marketplace will sort out itself.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I appreciate the conversation and look forward to more from the Republican leadership on all of those issues as lawmakers battle over the future of reform, new developments in the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission's work to uncover exactly who and what caused the crisis, gambling with our money in secret. This week, the commission slapped the credit rating agency, who goes largely unreformed under the president or the Democrats' reform plan, with a subpoena